we're good. All right. So I'm going to kind of count on you guys to tell me if all the levels and everything sound okay. Basically, what's going on is the basement here is just about done, I guess. For anybody that, I know I've mentioned on Twitter multiple times that, I've been working on this basement for like months, and it's basically done now. And so instead of streaming at my office at work, now hopefully I can stream at home. And so I like upgraded my home internet to like the fastest you can have, which still isn't really that fast. And then I ran a hard line down here so that hopefully we get the best connection possible. So I'm only streaming at 720p just because I don't think that I can do 1080p at 60 frames per second at home. So hopefully this will be okay. And I figured before we get started, I can just give you sort of the quick tour of the place. It's definitely nothing fancy, but you can kind of see my setup here. So I'm going to grab the webcam off of the camera here. And so this is, let me back up. So this is like the streaming setup that I've got here. I just bought this last night. I bought a computer. It's just a Costco special, so it's pretty cheap, but it's literally just for streaming and hopefully recording gameplay footage. And today we're going to be playing some Genesis. So we've got the Genesis over here, and we've got Championship Pro-Am in the machine. And then I also pulled out Castlevania Bloodlines and John Madden, the original John Madden Football. And so the Genesis runs up to this old Sony PVM monitor that I've got through a SCART cable. And then I've got up here an OSSC. So basically the SCART RGB goes into the monitor, then comes out of the monitor and goes into the OSSC. And then that comes all the way down to this StarTech USB whatever capture device. And then we're running OBS here. And then just in case anybody else, or if anybody wants to see what the rest of the basement looks like I said, it's nothing fancy, it's still a basement, but, and I'm still kind of working on it, but probably the only other thing in the basement anybody's going to care about is there is my Sega Astro City arcade cab, which, it would be cool if we could stream from that, but how would that work? Please don't try to sell drugs or buy drugs in my basement. And of course, Sierra Nevada is delicious. So that's enough of that nonsense. So we're going to put the camera back. I'm going to sit back in my chair. This chair, or this is like a stool, like a shop stool, and it's got like a pleather seat. So if it sounds like I'm gassy or something, I'm not. It's just the seat. So I figured we would play Championship Pro-Am first, just to give people sort of a chance to show up. And then probably Castlevania Bloodlines will be the main event. Full disclosure, as much as I like Castlevania, I really have very little experience with Castlevania Bloodlines. So, which is part of the reason I wanted to stream it, because that should be fun. But it also means that I'm probably not going to be very good, because I don't have much experience with it. And I just say a quick hi. So you've got John KZX. Bo LaPlume, what's up, man? Back in the day gamer. Brandon Campbell Diamond. Nawef Aled, I don't even know. And then Brandon X76. A Star Trek 3.0. Why would you throw that away? I think it's a pretty good capture device. My buddy Todd told me to get it. I have like 4 or 5 capture devices. I feel like there's no such thing as a perfect capture device. So like I'm always trying to find something good, but this one seems like it's pretty good. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's Windows only, which is okay, I guess. Normally I use Mac, but I bought this. I bought this Windows computer, really mostly for, like I said, for streaming and capturing, just because I just want to try to use something different than the Elgato. Not that I mind the Elgato, but it's very picky about resolution. Like it wants, Elgatos I think were really designed for people who are streaming like Xbox One, PS4, and so it really just wants standard resolutions, 720p or 1080p, and obviously with the OSSC, it does not necessarily output standard resolutions, right? Because all it does is it's just a line multiplier. So like for instance, we're playing the Genesis here in what is it? It's 960p. So if I tried to plug the Elgato into this, it would be unhappy. Well, it just wouldn't sync with it. So so I wanted something that would allow me to record gameplay footage that was integer scaled. So I'm gonna pause it real quick. Wow, Brandon, thank you very much. It's extremely generous of you. I really appreciate that. It's not as difficult as the other games in the series. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I've only played like the first level maybe. Shadow Band, hey, and I won't worry about it too much, but we'll see how bad it is when I get to playing it. So if nobody's ever played this game, by the way, Championship Pro-Am, I did talk about it on an episode of the show, but it was a very early episode of the show. It's really just a 16-bit remake of the original RC Pro-Am, which is one of my favorite games on the NES. So, and I never knew that this existed up until, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, or sometime before I made that episode. I don't know if this game just wasn't that popular when it came out on the Genesis, or what the deal is, but it's a really good version of the game. So, obviously, if you have the nostalgia of playing the original Nintendo version, then this game is quite a bit different as far as the presentation goes. But it's just like 16-bit version of the same graphics and the music. So. And the track layouts ostensibly are all the same. Again, I think it's just a 16-bit remake of the original game. So, not doing super great here, but trying to talk while I'm playing. So, hey PC Engine, what's up, man? And again, I just figured we'll just play this for a while and just kind of let anybody who wants to join sort of make their way here, and then we'll get into Castlevania Bloodlines. Just because it's probably going to be more interesting to watch, I'm guessing. For anybody who maybe hasn't played RC Pro-Am before, picking up those stars just gives you more ammunition. Like right now my ammunition is missiles. You can also have bombs, but the bombs kind of suck, so I always try to avoid picking up the bomb icon, but sometimes you run into it by accident. So, and then of course in the original RC Pro-Am, you are spelling Nintendo when you pick up the little letter tiles, but obviously they're not going to do that with the Genesis. So here you just spell, I think, champion, and once you complete the word, then you just upgrade to like the next car, next fastest car. But if I remember correctly, everybody upgrades to the next fastest car, so that kind of makes it, it doesn't mean it's not fun, but it certainly doesn't give you any kind of competitive edge. Whereas if you play a game like Moto Rotor on the TurboGrafx 16, you can go ahead and buy a faster car in the shop, but that doesn't mean that everybody else gets one too. So you can really give yourself more of a competitive edge that way. Oh no. Oh man. I thought that was the last lap and I was going to be hosed. There we go. I still might be hosed. All right. Not so bad. Not very good. You heard that's a PAL exclusive? I don't. This game's not a PAL exclusive, I don't think. Or how did I get it? Yeah, sorry. I'll read comments in just a second. I should have paused it. Oh yeah, and like on this level they start having the oh man, I just picked up the bombs. See, those are no good. Oh, I got the missiles back, so that was quick. This one's got like these little steel plates that come out of the ground. So like on this level, you kind of want to stay out of the middle of the track if possible. And you can see if you look on the little map down below, you can see where the other cars are, and you can see that the yellow car is gone. So they preserved sort of the cheating yellow car from the Nintendo version, although I could swear it was orange in the Nintendo version. Let me just pause this real quick. If you're asking me if I like handhelds, sure. I think I have most of the popular handhelds. I have all the iterations of the Game Boy anyway, and I have a Lynx, and I have a PSP and a PS Vita. The main one I can think that I'm missing, I have DS, DS Lite. I have a 3DS. And the only one I can think of that I'm missing is I don't have a Game Gear. I've never really been that into the Game Gear. So, hey, Sublime, thanks, man. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, dude. Should we be seeing gameplay? Oh, my goodness. Wow. Thank you for somebody saying something. There we go. That's the problem. Wow. Thank you. How embarrassing. All right. I set up a whole new thing in OBS, so I'm trying to be fancy, but too fancy for my own good. So this is already like the 8th track. So the first 7 tracks, I came in first, and most of them came in second, and one, third, and another. I think we'll see when we get to the end of this one. We can see the trophy room there. Sorry, I just completely spaced out and forgot to switch the scene in OBS there. I'm surprised it took you guys so long to say something. Not blaming you though. It's my wife texting me, I'm sure. We'll get to her in a second. It's kind of odd that the other cars are catching up to me because I've picked up most of the upgrades. The only thing I was missing at the end of the last level was 1 sticky tire. But, I mean, that's what the missiles are for, so. Alright. Ooh. Thought I was dead. That's how you gotta do it. Yeah, thanks again, Brandon. Appreciate that. You have mixed feelings about the Game Gear? Like, I feel like I would like the Game Gear if I got one with an upgraded screen. Like, I know you can modify the Game Gear now to put like a modern LCD screen in it, and like that would probably be pretty cool, because it's not like it doesn't have a bunch of good games, Certainly, it's got some sort of Master System ports on it, but it's also got a lot of unique games. And I know I've told this story on the show before, I think in a magazine read-through, but I actually, I don't know, I was probably like 13, 14 years old, something like that. I actually saved up the money. See, when you're out of missiles, it just honks. I actually saved up the money to buy a Game Gear, and I had my grandma drive me down to this store called The Good Guys. So I could buy a Game Gear. I decided I was going to get a Game Gear, and I think I was going to get that game G-Lock. It's like I guess something kind of like Afterburner, or whatever. It's like a fighter plane-based game. And I went down there to get it, and they didn't have any Game Gears in stock. And I wish I could tell you that I remember what happened. I don't know. Like, I didn't get a Game Gear because they didn't have any in stock, and I think I felt like I was already kind of oh man, so we just got game overed. I think I just kind of felt like, maybe that was like, maybe I was already on the fence about it or something, and then that just kind of killed it. I don't really remember. I just I ended up never getting a Game Gear. I don't remember what I did with the money. Let's go ahead and continue. Especially now that we got the new car, or little Jeep, or whatever it looks like there. Because that had to have been about $100 at least. I don't remember when this was. When it was that I tried to buy the Game Gear. So you can see this is a pretty tough track. So you want to try to keep the roll bar, but you also want to try not to spin out in the first place, because now I'm out of contention here. So. that would have been a lot of money for me to have back at that age, and so I can't imagine that I just ended up taking the money and and spending it on something foolish. But you know, maybe I ended up putting it into like an upgrade for my computer or something. I don't really know. But like I said, I never got a Game Gear, so I just saw out of the corner of my eye somebody asked me if I have a Nomad. No, I don't have a Nomad. I don't really feel the need to have a Nomad just because I have, you know, the Genesis, or, you know, multiple, I guess, Genesis. A Nomad would have been really sweet to have back in the day, just because I did have a Genesis, and so I would have been able to play some games on the go. But, you know, the first time I ever remember seeing a Nomad was the very late 90s, you know, like maybe 98 or 99, when you could still go to Toys R Us. Well, you could still go to Toys R Us, period. You could still go to Toys R Us, and they had some Genesis stuff. You know, by then, Majesco had taken over the distribution of everything, you know, Genesis related. And so I remember going in there and seeing the boxed Nomad systems, and I remember seeing some of those cardboard box games, like like Castlevania, like we have over here. Up until recently, I had a cardboard box version of that until I was able to find a decent deal on a proper clamshell version. You know, I don't get too hung up about games being like, you know, complete in the box or whatever. You know, I made a comment the other day on Twitter about how, you know, when it comes to like CD-based consoles, like I don't mind buying disc-only copies of a lot of games. Like if it's not a game that I really want to own, you know, if it's just a game that maybe I'm buying for the show, you know, a disc-only copy is just fine. Obviously, if it's like a marquee game that I'm going to sort of keep and want to have as part of my library, if you will, then I'm going to want to have, you know, like a... See, they put the puddles and the oil deals, like, they're very strategically placed. Anyway, in those cases, I want to have like a nice copy of the game. But if it's just a game I need for the show or whatever, then like for me, disc only is fine. So maybe let's go. We're like 20 minutes in, so how about we go ahead and switch over to Castlevania. So, in fact, speaking of loose games, my copy of RC ProAm here is just a loose disc, or a loose cartridge, and then here's my copy of Castlevania Bloodlines. Back in the day, gamer. Thanks, man. I like the overlay. Some people have said they don't like it, but I would say the overwhelming majority of people have said they think it's cool. So I was trying to create sort of a living room atmosphere with that. Can you guys hear the game audio at all? I'm trying to keep it, you know, quiet, but I don't want it to be completely muted. So I noticed in one of my past live streams that the game audio was like too loud, and so that was kind of annoying. Hey Travis, thanks again for help with the Retro Blast podcast. Oh yeah, Travis. Yeah, Travis emailed me the other day because he was looking for the old. I don't know, can you call them episodes? I mean, it's a podcast. I guess so, right? Podcast episodes of the old Retro Blast podcast, which was my friend Anthony's podcast that I ended up doing a few episodes with him. Apparently, Anthony took all those down. And like I was explaining to Travis, you know, when you have a YouTube channel, you just upload your videos to YouTube, and it doesn't like cost you anything to have YouTube like host your content. But what people I think don't realize, what certainly I didn't realize, is that when you have a podcast, you have to pay to host that somewhere. Even if your podcast is on like iTunes or Google Play Store, you don't actually upload your podcast like to Apple or to Google Play, whatever. You have to have it hosted somewhere. So you have to pay for that. So like Anthony had a SoundCloud account, but it was something like $100 a year. And, you know, he's kind of a frugal guy. And so I think he probably ended up just letting that expire. But I had saved all the episodes of Retro Blast, and I just had them on my hard drive. And so I uploaded them somewhere so that Travis could listen to them I really wish that Anthony was still doing that show. I really liked it a lot. I would say I was probably his biggest fan. In fact, I would say the show was a lot better before I started appearing on it, because I think it worked out quite well as a one-man show. So we don't have a password right now to put in, although I do have a pencil here, and let me get some paper, so that just in case if we get game overed, maybe we can put in the password and give it another go. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like your parents' basement. Yeah, it's like my parents' basement, except that it's my basement. So how cool is that? My parents don't have a basement. So, hey Johnny, glad to be back. Someone says the mic could be louder. I could do that. I'm gonna have to do it on here. I'm using my lapel mic. I don't know if you can see that there. I didn't know that you could use these little Zoom recorders as an audio interface, so I just have my lapel mic plugged into that. So that's a lot better than trying to monkey with one of my big microphones. But yeah, I know I've been kind of gone for a while on this channel, and that last TurboGrafx 16 video was a lot of work. So kind of after that was done, I was kind of just tired. And as far as doing CGQ Plus episodes, I don't know. I just kind of haven't been feeling chatty lately. I don't know why, or I don't even really know what that means, I guess. But, I usually get in some mood where I want to tell some of my stories, but I don't know, lately I haven't been feeling like it. So, you can choose two characters in this game, John Morris and this Eric Lacard. John has like the more traditional whip, and then if you play as this Eric Lacard guy, he has like this kind of spear. It's called an Alcard spear. I don't know what the heck that means. But, John Morris has the vampire killer whip. I did try playing it as Eric once yesterday or something just to see how it was. And it was cool because it was a little bit different. But I think I had a little bit harder of a time just because I'm used to the whip mechanics. Somebody wants to know what's your best Castlevania? So I assume you're asking what's my favorite Castlevania? I don't know. I mean, I like the first one. I played the first one when it was the only Castlevania, and I guess I'd have kind of a hard time not saying that the first one's my favorite, just when you take nostalgia into consideration. But of course, Castlevania 3 is an amazing game on the NES. I really, really like Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. The game's too easy, but I think it's got the best soundtrack, maybe in the entire series, which I know is probably kind of a controversial opinion, but I really love the music in that game, and the people that did the music in that game, if I remember correctly, that was the only Castlevania game they ever wrote the soundtrack for. It was definitely the first one they ever wrote the soundtrack for. Rondo of Blood is a very good game. I would definitely not say it was my favorite. And I also got Symphony of the Night. Certainly not right when it came out. I got Symphony of the Night maybe like 2001, by which time it had already been out for 3 or 4 years. But I think I bought that right when spring break started. I was in college at the time, and I was really glued to the couch for a while playing that game. I don't think I ever actually beat it though. I beat, I went through the entire castle, but then, for anybody who doesn't know, with Symphony of the Night, once you get to the end, the castle inverts, and then you have to go through the entire castle again. So it's like the game's only halfway over. So it's kind of like playing Ghosts and Goblins or something, where you think you've beat the game, but you're really only at the halfway point. But it's definitely an awesome game. Obviously it represented a pretty big departure from traditional Castlevania games, although it became the new normal. With that, all of a sudden now we had the Metroidvania, as people call them, games instead of the traditional Castlevania games. But that doesn't mean they're not good. One thing I noticed about playing, if you play as John Morris here with the whip, you can't whip up. But if you play as that Eric dude with the spear, he can whip up and he can not whip up, but stab his spear up or stab it diagonally. So, you know, maybe having that other character was a way to, to provide sort of an easier setting for people. I don't know. I mean, I found, I found that he was a little bit harder to control for me, but, you know, again, you know, I'm really used to you know, having a dude with a whip. So, yeah. Sylvan, thanks. I'm glad you like the history style shows. Yeah, that Master System video was actually one of my favorite videos to make. Although, you know, it's funny to see how people get with the fact that I had like other people on the show besides myself. Like sometimes I get people complain about Eric. Just yesterday I had somebody complaining about Paul. Like, you know, was it really necessary to have the British guy on there? Yeah, it was really necessary. You know, like British people are constantly complaining to me that I'm not doing a good job of like representing things from their perspective. You know, like when I talk about the video game crash, like, well, there was no video game crash here. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But, you know, I'm talking about things from a North American perspective. And so then I figured with something like the Sega Master System, when it was so, you know, unpopular, for lack of a better word, here in the United States, and, you know, was so popular in the UK and Brazil, you really have to talk about how the system did there. And, you know, what better way to do that than to, you know, bring in people that experienced it themselves. And, you know, I can understand the point of view that some people have of not, you know, sort of ceding control of part of the show to somebody else, because, you know, some people, they get used to seeing one host and they don't want to see it change. And honestly, that's probably the way I am most of the time when I'm watching YouTube videos. But at the same time, I felt like, you know, it was a you know, editorial decision that I think made it a much better episode. I kind of want to get too close to this guy, so I'm trying to just yeah, there we go. Anyway, that's probably way too much talking about the launch of the Master System episode, but I really did love making that episode. I don't know if I ever really kind of told that story or whatever, but you know, my wife and I were about to go on like a Christmas vacation. We actually went overseas for Christmas, and I was trying to get that episode done, and then I wanted to redo the Genesis episode, launch episode as well. Like, that's why that episode got redone, is I didn't want somebody watching the Master System episode, which was sort of higher quality, and then, you know, maybe naturally after that they would go and watch the Genesis launch episode, which was the first launch episode that I ever did. That's a one-up right there on that candle, but that's a lot easier to grab with the spear guy, Eric. Wow, that makes that easy. Anyway, so, I mean, this is taking too long to tell the story, but basically I had about like less than a month to redo the Genesis episode and make the Master System launch episode. So that was pretty hard to do. I've only got 3 little pieces of my health bar left, so I'm guessing we're going to die right here and have to refight this guy, but that's okay. We'll see. I forgot what this guy does. I know he jumps. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot. Maybe we're not going to have to. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Come here. They don't have like, the bosses don't have like coup de grace attacks in this game, hopefully. Wow, alright, that went pretty well. That was a pretty long first level, I gotta say. So I'm gonna go ahead and scroll up and see what people are talking about here. Blake says he still needs to get his postcard out, and Mike says the same thing. Yeah, so I mean, I know I've said this many times before, but I'm not gonna run out of postcards or anything. Like, I have plenty. And if I run out, I'll order more. So like, you know, the postcards are not like some kind of limited run thing. And I've had so much fun. I actually have like 10 postcards that I have to show. And I was thinking about showing them on the live stream, but I just feel like it's better to wait for a proper episode. But if I go back, I'm just going to switch back real quick. This picture down here, that picture, that's actually this shirt and this hat, and you can see that I'm holding a Mortal Kombat cartridge, and that's probably why I'm making a face. That was drawn on a postcard that I haven't shown yet by my buddy Conrad. Conrad has the distinction of being the first fan of the show that I ever met in person. And Conrad is an artist professionally, a video game artist actually, and he drew that and sent it in, and that's got to be one of the coolest things ever, I think. So I scanned the postcard because I want to try to use that sometimes, just for stuff like this, just because I think it's awesome. And yeah, Mike, I mean, don't worry about, where the postcard, I mean, just whatever, any postcard to get sent into the show is cool in my opinion. So, don't sweat it. Blake also wants to know, what's your favorite Metroidvania game? I guess I would have to say Symphony of the Night. I haven't really played, like, I have all the DS games, and I haven't really kept up. They're a pretty big time sink. Although I forgot, I actually really like the Game Boy Advance games. I've beat Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow. I have all three of those, and I've beaten all of them, and those are also a lot of fun. And I like the fact that they're on the Game Boy, so you can just pick them up and play them. First time catching your live. Love your launch videos. Thank you, Monkey. Monkey's in Australia. Wow. Hard with the time difference. So what time is it in Australia? It's like, is it morning there? I don't know. Hey, Garth. And, Eric is weaker than John. Well, that makes sense. That would make up for the fact that Eric has a little bit more, flexibility with his attacks. And hey, Jet. You live in the province of Quebec near Montreal. Here, Sega was pretty hot at the time. Well, that's pretty cool. Ooh, yeah, so Nawaf. I don't know how to say your name, Nawaf, there, but did I enjoy Bloodstained Curse of the Moon? Yeah. Somebody was telling me that I should live stream that game. And, I mean, that would be kind of cool. I try not to live stream, like, new games just because I kind of feel like, everybody's doing that. Like, how many people were live streaming Bloodstained when it came out? And it's just like, now that Shenmue has come out, everybody's going to be, doing stuff with that. And so, like, somebody was suggesting to me I should have done like a history of Shenmue or something. I've died there before. I should know better. I should do like a history of Shenmue kind of thing or something for that. But the problem is like right now YouTube is probably like flooded with Shenmue content, and I just don't like to jump on the bandwagon. I'm kind of like, I like to think that I'm kind of doing my own thing over here. So these freaking things, man. Just to take a minute, just to stop here. You really have to appreciate the graphics in this level. Like the way it has the mirror image of everything on the water, and the water's moving up and down. That's pretty impressive, especially when people want to compare the Genesis to the Super Nintendo all the time. And certainly, I'm not saying that somehow the Genesis has better graphics, but for a system that gets kind of dumped on a lot for not having the graphical prowess of the Super Nintendo, this is a pretty damn cool looking level. Do you think you'll ever do a CGQ on the life and drawn out death of the PlayStation Vita? And Monkey says it's 9 a.m. in Australia. Well, that's cool. I don't know. The thing is, like, obviously I could do that, but I don't know. Probably not. Just because I don't really like doing sort of negative videos. Like how often do I really dump on a game? Like even in like a launch video or something. I always try to find the good things in a game. So like it would be cool to do, like the launch of the Vita maybe or something. And then, as part of that, I guess I would have to talk about, sort of its shortcomings or its ultimate fate. But, so I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would be... I always feel like that stuff wouldn't be popular, but it seems more like doing the kind of content that I do with some newer stuff. I think would be actually more popular. I mean, if you look at like you know, my friend Demetris, who does Modern Vintage Gamer, you know, once he started covering Xbox stuff, original Xbox stuff, his show, I mean, his show is already doing quite well, so don't get me wrong, but his show really started to take off. And like, if you had asked me, you know, I never would have thought that original Xbox content would be like popular, which I guess you can whip diagonally. I never would have thought that original Xbox content would really be that popular. I don't know why I think that, but maybe just because it's not the first thing I would think to do content on. But because now, you know, now it makes me think like, oh, I should do like a launch of the Xbox, which I think would actually be a really cool episode. But you know, right now, as maybe some of you know, oh boy, this guy's going to be a problem. As some of you may know, if you pay attention on Twitter, I'm working on the launch of the Dreamcast. So that's going to keep me busy for a while. Oh no, I was doing so well. You'd love to see a Sega Saturn themed CGQ Plus. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I mean, I probably wouldn't do like I mean, I couldn't do like a flashback of that just because I never had a Saturn back in the day. You know, I had, oh boy, now we're in trouble. Oh, because my whip is so much shorter. Yeah, we're gonna die right here. All right, well, we knew that was going to happen. Stephen Ritchie wants to know when's the next Let's Read. Well, I've actually started working on the next Let's Read, which I believe is GamePro from June of 1991. It's got like really bad Sonic the Hedgehog artwork on the cover. And that was actually what made it stand out to me on the shelf and made me think that that was the episode that I wanted to do. There's some cool stuff in the issue. Sorry, I said episode. In the issue, but really it was just like I saw that cover art and are we gonna be able to kill this guy? Yes. Thank goodness. That was close. Of course, now we have to fight this jackass, and now we don't have a. Hopefully we pick up a weapon between now and we get there. Come on. Oh, good. Oh, I only have three Coke cans though, so that's going to be a problem. So how am I supposed to? Oh. Who would have thought this would be that easy? Wow. Never would have thought I could just hide under that guy's thingy. Oh, he's still around? What? Oh boy. Can I get... No, we cannot do that. Oh my goodness. Wow. Who said this game was easy? Hey Corey, thanks. So now I have to fight this guy again? That's annoying. But yeah, somebody mentioned I'm more of a PS1 guy. Yeah, I mean, I had a PS1. You know, I guess I'll talk about this more when we kind of get to that point in CGQ Plus, like on Flashback or whatever. But you know, the PlayStation 1 was really what got me back into playing video games, and that wasn't until like 1997. So by the time I got my PlayStation, the Saturn was really kind of on its way out. You mofo. You know, like I could go to like Software Etc. and like they still had Saturn stuff, but it was like a pretty pathetic display, you know. Boy, got through that on the skin by the skin of our butts. All right. What are your thoughts on the new Resident Evil 2 remake? Sorry to disappoint you. I didn't know they made a Resident Evil 2 remake because I don't keep track of modern games. That's kind of pathetic. But what is it for? Like PS4 and Xbox One or what? I mean that's a cool game. So, but when you say remake, like, are they doing a complete like from the ground up remake? Because that definitely seems like that could have the potential to be crappy. Wow. So I've never been where we are now before. This is by far the farthest I've ever gotten in this game. So no, you whatever. We don't have to fight those bosses again, are we? Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not trying to be like some hipster who like doesn't play modern games. It's really got more to do with time, and you know, with this show, I don't really have the time to mess around too much with modern games. Although, you know, the main reason I started my show was you know, because of a love for retro gaming. Because even then, I wasn't too much into modern gaming, but you know, obviously there are some games that come out that I want to check out. At this point, I would say my modern gaming is pretty much, goodness, it's pretty much limited to playing whatever the latest Formula One game is. And you know, I say that, and I haven't picked up F1 2018, but it's not like it's going to be really that much different than F1 2017. Plus, I don't really have a place to set up. Goodness gracious. Now, how far back are we going to have to start? I don't really have a place to set up my steering wheel setup without it taking over my desk upstairs. So, oh, cool. All right. I was afraid we were going to have to, like, it was going to start us way back someplace. So that's kind of cool. I don't remember what I was talking about. I was talking about playing modern games. Yeah, I don't... wow, that looks pretty neat. Whoa. That's pretty cool. But there have been a few modern games that I've gotten into. I mean, I really like the Elder Scrolls series, you know, like, you know, Skyrim and before that, Oblivion. God damn it. This guy's going to single-handedly kill me. Dude, turn around. But, well, now what do I do? I don't just jump down, do I? Was I supposed to do something to get up there? I'm gonna die if I fall off of this thing, right? Can I whip? Oh, nice. All right. Well, I'm glad I didn't guess and make a bad decision there. Sorry, let me just... complete remake comes out next March. Well, I don't know. We'll see if it's good, but, you know, whatever. F1 2018 has Charles Leclerc. Well, that's true. You mentioned in your videos is RC3883. You mentioned in your videos that you were a PC gamer for a while. Have you considered a stream or have thought to produce a CGQ Plus episode covering that period of time? Definitely. We just kind of haven't gotten to that point yet. I got my PC... Are you gonna come here or what? Well, here we just do that. I got my PC in the 8th grade. Yeah, in the 8th grade. And sort of right now on the show, we're only up to the 7th grade. So, but actually, so PC kind of stuff is going to start pretty soon. So I'm going to have to figure out how to capture my DOS gaming PC, which is a lot harder than you might think. God dang it. Either that or I'll just end up having to use DOSBox, which would be fine. But it'd be a lot cooler to pull out the actual computer. If you were here when the stream first started, and you saw I've got a VGA monitor sitting over here, like an old CRT VGA monitor, and I actually have a amplified, like powered VGA splitter, so that much like what I'm doing here now, playing on a CRT but still managing to capture the footage. Hopefully I could do that with the computer. But we'll have to kind of see how that goes when I start talking about PC, because there are so many PC games. I was really big into PC gaming from like 1990 until like 1993 or 1994. And so I played a lot of games. My point is, like, we could spend a lot of time on CGQ Plus talking about PC games, but I think that a lot of people would get bored, because if they didn't grow up with that, then maybe they don't have the same feelings that I do about that. Oh, whoops. But we'll just see how it goes. I mean, there's some games where there's no way that I'm not going to talk about, like Maniac Mansion 2 or Monkey Island 2 or like X-Wing, and that's gonna take some time. Okay, where are we here? Oh, hey, Derek's here. What's up, man? Hey, Derek, I got your... Well, here, hold on a second. I think I have it down here. Don't worry, I'll show this again on the next proper episode of the show. But I got a package the other day from old Derek there, and he sent me a really nice letter, which obviously I'm not gonna read it on the air or whatever. But I just thought this was pretty cool. I haven't decided what to do with it yet, because this needs to have a place of prominence here in the all-new subterranean CGQ HQ. He got me this cool Mega Man 2 magnet. I thought that was pretty cool. So, I didn't say anything to you like on Twitter or anything, Derek, because I wanted to kind of, do it on the show. But like I said, I'll show it again on the next episode of CGQ Plus. But I just want to say thanks, Derek. And hey, Yako Warner 1990. What's up, man? Were you born in 1990? I wish I was. I'm getting old. And Derek wants to know what I say. This Castlevania game is the best one since Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Maybe. I don't know, because when did this game come out, actually? What is the what's the date on here? Usually I'm a fountain of knowledge with this stuff, but yeah, this one came out in 94. I really like, I already talked about it, but I really like Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo, and so I guess this, but then also, Rondo of Blood came out in like 92, so don't forget. So, what am I going to do with all these yahoos? Can I? Oh, cool, that helps. Nice. I guess I would just say this is a really solid Castlevania game, at least from what I'm seeing here. So, I mean, most of them are good. Oh boy. It seems like a boss battle. Yeah, that one's pretty awesome. I agree. Super Castlevania 4 is one of my favorites. Yeah, and yeah, I do like the magnet. Thanks, man. Yeah, Blake, you're not doing this for Hannah. And you, honestly, I mean, just the, when people send postcards, that it makes my day when I go to the PO box and I got a little stack of postcards in there. Obviously, when someone like Derek sends me something like that magnet, it's super thoughtful, and I really appreciate it a lot. But certainly nobody needs to feel like they need to do something like that, and there's really not anything that I would say that I'm looking for. What the heck is this thing? Oh, I see. Wow. If anybody's got any tips, I'm all ears. I think it seems like maybe I have to whip them in the face, and so I have to keep doing this until I get them down to that level. Ooh, crap. Yeah. What in the world? Got him. That was nothing if not a creative boss, I must say. Yeah, you're not hogging the chat, man. Don't say that. He kind of reminds me of the two robots from Streets of Rage 2. I hate the two robots in Streets of Rage 2. Yeah, Blake, I've never made it this far either. That was only the end of stage 2. This has really long levels. Not complaining, but I feel like I'm on like stage 4 by now. Ooh, we should write this down. So we got axe, jewel. What do you even call that thing? Eagle. I'm just making up names for it. Jewel, blank, eagle, jewel, axe, blank, axe. All right. I guess I should have pulled my phone out and just taken a picture, huh? But that would have been too smart. All right, anyway. Yeah, or just take a picture. No, that's exactly what I should have done. Sometimes that kind of stuff does not jump to the forefront of my mind as what to do. Wow, we're going to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's pretty neat. What's up with the Coke cans? Like, did they have some kind of... I can't imagine they had like a sponsorship deal with Coca-Cola, but at the same time, like, what made them abandon the hearts? Whoops. Come here. I'm gonna warn you guys right now, if we get game over again, well, we're gonna get game over again, but when that happens, we're switching over to Madden, because at this point, the stream's been going on for an hour, so can't go too much longer. My wife's gonna be home before too long. Not that I can't stream when my wife is home, but I would like to eat dinner, so. Those are jewels? That looks like a can of Coke. Oh. Oh, hey, it's leaning. Because it's the leaning. I don't think the Leaning Tower of Pisa leans that much. Just try to book it up these stairs. This guy's going to catch us, though. Where is he? All right. What do we got here? Well, there's a lot of stuff in here. F1 race, definitely. Yeah, I love it when I buy used games and I see someone's code scratched into the notes. Yeah, you know, there was a time when if I had bought a game and the manual was all marked up like that, I would have been annoyed. But now I think it's pretty cool. So same goes with like stickers, like rental stickers or used game shop stickers. Like they're like little relics of the past, you know. Yeah, tips and tricks. It amazes me to this day that the tower never fell over. Well, I mean, I gotta be honest and say I don't know a whole lot about the Leaning Tower. How am I supposed to get across that? No, you don't hop on it, that's for sure. I was thinking maybe I was supposed to jump on that thing, but apparently not. All right, so that's game over. So like I said, we're going to switch over to Madden. I know that's probably not going to be a popular choice for some of you, but you know, football season is getting ready to start, and you know, I love old sports games. So you know, for any of you that don't care about watching old sports games, I'm not going to take it personally if you go ahead and take off. Not saying I want you to, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. That doesn't mean that we cannot. You know what we'll do? We're going to revisit Castlevania Bloodlines on a future stream because I've got the code right here. But so that we're not playing the same game for too long, let's just whip through a little bit of John Madden Football, and then we're going to call it a night. But you know, the whole point of doing the stream was to make sure everything is working and set up, and I got the new computer so that we can do this more often. Oh, so someone wants to know which Madden. The original Madden that still came in a cardboard box. That's pretty awesome. The lean used to be 5.5 degrees. Now it's 3.99. Wow, that's pretty. Oh, I thought it did it by itself, though. So, yeah, maybe not. Hey, Esteban, glad you liked the show. Thanks for stopping by, Yaka Warner. Hopefully we'll see you next time there. Yeah, the whip swinging from Castlevania 4 is in this game. Well, I didn't know that either. So, yeah. Need to stream some Amiga Turrican. Oh, hey, Todd. Yeah, I still want to do the Amiga live stream. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. But, well, now we're set up to stream. So now we can start streaming. Yeah, and then RC3883 says... oh, thanks, Yako, man. I really appreciate it, dude. I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. He says, you probably mentioned it for renting. Did you have a local chain like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or a mom and pop video rental? So we didn't have Blockbuster or Hollywood when I was a kid. We had like little mom and pop type places, and we had places that were a little bit nicer than that too. Like when I first started renting games, it was like a little hole in the wall that was in like the same shopping center as a Safeway and Long's Drugs, which is, unfortunately Long's Drugs is gone now, but got bought out by CVS. When I was a kid, you could buy Nintendo games at Long's Drugs. That was pretty cool. I forgot what other teams. I don't remember having all the teams. Who should we play? Let's play New York. And we'll leave the length at 5 minutes. I haven't played this game in a while, so you know, not putting on a clinic for sure. Jet wants to know if we can get a video of my F1 games collection. I mean, I don't have that many F1 games, but that's something I might be willing to do, like over on this channel, because we could just do sort of like Let's Play style. That might be kind of neat. Somebody's been bugging me for a while, not bugging me, but you know, asking me repeatedly if I would do like a history of F1 video games episode, which I think that would be pretty fun, actually, if you just picked maybe one game from sort of each generation of consoles. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to call an audible there, so that kind of turned into a mess. But that's all right. Yeah, the moonwalking running backs. You know, well, Teresa, I'm down in my own basement, though. I think the stereotype is, oh man, is to be down in your parents' basement. So, this is my basement, so I think it's okay. But you know, stereotypes wouldn't be stereotypes if they didn't have a kernel of truth to them. I guess some of them anyway. Boy, what can I say about? I feel like I want to talk about this game a little bit, but so this game came out. When did this game come out? Like October, November of 1990, I think this game came out. And what are you doing? Wrong button. I haven't played this game in a while. You know, when this game came out, man, like people were still playing like Tecmo Bowl, Tecmo Super Bowl. You know, I think I mentioned it in the last Let's Read that, you know, TV Sports Football on the TurboGrafx 16 came out like less than a month before this one did. And, you know, for its little, you know, it had its little 15 minutes, you know, almost literally. And, where it was maybe the most advanced football video game. And then John Madden Football came out, and you know, I want to say maybe like November of 1990. That's kind of a guess, so don't take it literally. But you know, what a no pun intended, what a game changer. You know, how many? I wonder how many systems this game sold. Like I can tell you, matter of factly, I think it sold my friend Anthony his system basically. You know, in terms of detail, easily this was, you know, for all of its faults, and for sure this game definitely has a lot of faults. It at the time it came out overall was the best and most advanced football game that had ever come out on a home console. That was weird. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, he was wide open. I thought I got burned. Yeah, don't forget the Cheetos fingers and empty Mountain Dew cans. You know, I do love Cheetos, but I've really never been a fan of Mountain Dew. You know, I mean, I don't really drink soda too much just because it's so freaking bad for you. But oh man, I thought that was a fumble. Although what was that red Mountain Dew they had for a while? Was it Mountain Dew Code Red or something? That stuff was pretty good. But overall, like I said, I don't drink soda just because it's not good for you. But man, you give me a bag of Cheetos, I'll eat the whole bag. Oops. Oh, field goal. Ooh, that's not gonna make it. All right, good. Let's throw some passes. Squirt is better than Mountain Dew. You got that right. Squirt's delicious. That actually, I'm not going to say they're my favorite soda, but I really like grapefruit sodas. I know I just got done saying I don't really drink soda, which is true. But When I was a kid, my grandma really liked Squirt, and that's what got me into it. So I'll drink Diet Squirt sometimes. Code Red, yeah. What? No Baja Blast. I don't think I've ever had Baja Blast, so I'm not saying it's not good. I just, I'm just not really a soda aficionado. Do another running play. Did I find another chicken for the chicken coop? Not yet. We're still trying. We haven't like given up or anything. We got feelers out to people. We just don't really want to buy. There's people like on Craigslist that just like sell chickens, and it just seems kind of sketchy. So we know other people who have chickens, and we're just trying to get somebody to be willing to part with one. But I'm trying to hurry up and do it because I really feel bad for that poor chicken out there. Ooh, I think that was enough for the first down. It's kind of a cheap move in this game. If you hit A, you dive, but you dive like 5 yards. So, if you're ever trying to pick up a few extra yards, instead of getting greedy and trying to keep running, just hit the dive button and you pick up a few extra yards that way. Well, Jet, it's just like, it's like people who are like dog breeders and stuff like that, I don't know. Sometimes it's just kind of sketchy. I don't really know. I mean, we've never bought like adult chickens before. We always get like chicks and raise them ourselves, so. What is it, 1st and 10 here? Probably time for another pass, I would say. What game is this, Matt? This is the original John Madden Football. Got the box right there. John Madden Football. The cool thing about sports game, if you like sports games, is there's something you can still pick up relatively cheap. This is in pretty nice condition. Especially since it came in a cardboard box. A copy of the game, and it was still pretty darn cheap, just because like nobody wants sports games. But to me, sports games are a very important part of the history of video games. Just because they were so popular back then, and they can really sort of serve as an indicator of where a system was in sort of its development cycle, software development cycle. With a game like this, I mean, yeah, this looks cool, but it looks more like an early Genesis game, But then you can go get like, Madden 93 or Madden 94, and, you really see how far the system has come. And that same goes for, hockey games or baseball games or whatever. And, they were really popular back then. It's just like, I think most people who are sports gamers are like not retro gamers. They just want to play like, they're playing Madden 19 right now. So maybe I'm a little bit weird in that, I'm a guy who likes sports games, but likes old sports games. All right, where are we at here now? Oh, 3rd and 4. What do we want to do here? Like that. Let's do that. Chris likes to crush on Peter Forsberg and Patrick. I hated those guys, back in the day, but, oh, come on. But, now that everything's all said and done and the rivalry's over and all those guys are retired, man, like, you got to take your hat off to those great players back then. It's funny how the minute a player retires or gets traded or whatever to your team, no matter how bad you used to hate them, like now you think they're cool. But I mean, that makes sense, I guess. So just because I'm stupid, I'm going to go for it on 4th down here, just because why not? Oh, crap. Play clock was about to run out. All right, here we go. All right. 4th and 4 from the 20-ish. Ooh. Ha ha! See, I used the dive, though. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the cheap maneuver. Oh, B. There we go. Finally. Is that like my first completed pass? It feels like it. Yeah, Derek, I know you like the sports games. You're cool. Matt never got into sports games that much. It's understandable. I mean, a lot of people didn't get into sports games. And to be honest, back then, I wasn't really that into sports games. But now I came to appreciate them later. You know, I was just really crappy at games when I was a kid. And if you don't have good hand-eye coordination, you can pretty much forget playing sports games. Ooh, someone's getting salty. Is that your wife, Derek? I mean, if so, that's cool. You know, welcome. I don't think I've never had like a couple in here before, so that's pretty cool. I always like to blitz a lot on defense. It's kind of cheap, but see, like you can get one of your dudes and you can get right in here, like between the center and the guard, and you can get behind the line of scrimmage pretty easily. So. The original great beer. Yeah, I don't, you know, it would be cool. Like, I don't, you know, it's the same, you know, a few years ago when one of the newer NHL releases came with like, it's like NHL 94 mode. And it's like, why couldn't they just put NHL 94, you know, just take the rosters away because you can't do that. But just like, just put that on the disc, you know, like that would have been cool. Yeah, there you go. Shooting the gap. Yeah, I don't know. I never knew what it was called. I just know it's like another cheap move that you can do in this game. 22, red, 56, 44. Oh, he got me. All right. Dang it. I mean, just going back to what Great Beer was saying there, it's just like in general, I wish that a lot of these publishers would, you know, make access to older games easier. You know, like they want to cry about, you know, piracy and ROM sites, but, you know, there's really no excuse at this, you know, by this point in time for like pirating music. And if you do it, I mean, I'm not here to judge you, but you know, you can just go on Amazon and you can buy an MP3 of pretty much any song you can think of, unless it's something real esoteric, you know, for $1. And so it's almost not worth it trying to go to the seedy side of the internet to save $1, you know. But, you know, like let's say that, you know, let's use this game as an example and say that, you know, one day you're like, you know, I really want to check out the original John Madden Football, right? And just see what it's like. You can't go someplace and, you know, pay $1 or $2 and play this game. Like the only way you're playing this game is either owning the original hardware and, you know, buying a copy of it off of eBay or whatever, or, hold on, I gotta pick my play here, or piracy. And you know, that doesn't justify piracy, but what it says is that, you know, there's a need that's not being met, you know, and part of it is just about, you know, even just historical preservation of these old games, you know, somebody wrote an article recently about that, you know, and I know Frank Cifaldi has been kind of big on that, you know, if it wasn't for these people who are writing emulators, you know, a lot of these games would have been lost, you know, and even though they're, you know, supposedly fueling piracy, they're also kind of responsible for the fact that, you know, a lot of these games still exist in some form, you know, aside from the original media. And, You know, like I totally understand that. You know that it would be complicated, right? Because you have all these different developers and these license holders, and so like if Amazon were to sell downloadable ROMs, it would be sort of this headache of okay, who do we pay for this or who do we pay for that? But again, the music industry is no different, except that the music industry has an association in place that takes care of all that stuff, and maybe at this point, that's what the games industry needs. Am I supposed to be like putting my hands up or something to catch a ball? I could swear there's a button I'm supposed to be pushing. What is it, 3rd and 2? Near. Yeah. I didn't expect. I was just trying to pick up the first down, but I'll take it. Well, thank you, Derek, but I mean, nobody's paying me anything, But honestly, you know what I would settle for? I would settle for companies like Nintendo not giving YouTubers grief for showcasing their games on YouTube. That's what really sticks in my craw. Like, I certainly don't expect, game publishers to be like giving me money because I make some of the videos that I do. But, like I've had videos flagged where, I had to do like a dispute. Konami did in, I don't think it was one of my Let's Reads. I think it was on an episode of CGQ Plus. Like, did I cover Life Force at one point? It was either on a Let's Read or it was on an episode of this show over on this channel. I don't remember which. But, Konami tried to take my ad revenue for that video because I showed Life Force. And it's just like, that's the kind of stuff that really, it angers me, and it should anger you guys that they do that to like YouTubers who are, we're the people that are really keeping their old games relevant, and like, if you could buy, and I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying I don't know, but if you could buy Life Force on like the Virtual Console or something like that, then maybe somebody watches my show and sees me talking about Life Force and says, hey, I want to play that game, and goes and buys it on the Virtual Console or whatever. And then on top of that, they want to take the meager amount of ad revenue that I make on a Let's Read and keep it because I showed their game. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. But to a certain extent, I mean, I don't really understand a lot of times why, you can't use like licensed music in your videos. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand that, as like background music or something. But, like, what's wrong with having a little bit of, extra exposure? But, as far as like, people who do let's plays or, otherwise are showing games on YouTube, the idea that, companies like Konami, or I know Nintendo's especially bad about that they want to try to, take your ad revenue away from you because they see you as making money off of them, just strikes me as being extremely out of touch. But, that being said, I've been very lucky that, why does it keep pausing? I've been very lucky that I haven't had a problem with that much. In fact, off the top of my head, that one incident with Konami is the only one I can think of. But I will say that it's gotten to a point now where every time I make a video, it's in the back of my mind that I'm worried about getting a copyright strike. And sometimes I think I push it a little too much. Like with the last video I did, the TurboGrafx in 1989 video, I was concerned because I did play a Kraftwerk song in the background, but I kept it at a low volume. But then, I showed that Jimi Hendrix video, that CD video, and I was really worried about, like, well, what if these people, what if I get a copyright strike, even though I'm just trying to show, the capabilities of this CD system. Yes, I think I'm supposed to press C to raise my arms. But, you know, I don't know. It's, I guess it's a fine line, right? Because, sorry, hold on. Because there are people out there that abuse the system. And although I don't think, as far as, I don't think there's anything you can really do with a video game that's, you know, sort of abusing the copyright system. You know, even if you're just posting a gameplay video, I don't, unless, I mean, are there people out there who really just, see, it keeps pausing. I'm not even touching the start button. It's very strange. See, it did it again. There's something wrong with this controller or something. I just cleaned it. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, like, I mean, are there people out there who really just watch gameplay videos instead of playing the game? Like, I'm sure, you know, the law of averages will tell you that there are some people, but I can't imagine that that's really a problem. You know, it's not like watching a movie on YouTube instead of watching it in the movie theater. I mean, people want to play the game themselves. But you know, these companies are all, I'm going the wrong way. These companies are all run, like, you know, by like middle-aged businessmen who are basically out of touch with, you know, what's going on, you know, with the current state of affairs. So unfortunately, it's to be expected that we have to deal with some of these problems. But yeah, it is sad that we have to worry about this stuff. But what are you going to do, I guess? I mean, if it ever really became a problem, then, you know, I guess my worry would just be like, what if I uploaded, like, you know, a launch video that, you know, got, you know, those launch videos get a lot of views pretty quickly. So you could you imagine if I like uploaded like the launch of the PlayStation 2 or something, and then I got, you know, a copyright claim on it where, you know, some company was going to take all the ad revenue. Like, unlike something like pretty much anything on this channel or a magazine read-through where the ad revenue is really sort of insignificant, you know, with those launch videos, the ad revenue is a lot. And if I were to upload like a launch video and somebody were to hit it with a copyright claim that I couldn't dispute, or that I lost the dispute for, I could literally be losing, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 over the long term, you know, and getting that kind of money is what pays for things like this setup or like this computer down here, so that I can, you know, capture the footage and do the live streams for you guys. So I guess I just hope something like that doesn't happen, but, you know, see, it's still doing it. But, you know, honestly, if it did, I'd probably have to take the video down and fix it. Take out whatever the problem is and re-upload it, which would, I'm sure, probably hurt me in the YouTube algorithm, but, you know, nothing I could really do about that. I haven't really been keeping up with the comments here, so I'm just going to pause it for a second and check it out. Yeah, lame force. Yeah, merchandising, right? Well, I mean, I tried selling those t-shirts. That didn't really go that well. I don't really feel like merchandising is really the long-term solution for YouTubers, you know. Hey, Christian. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, it's no problem. I mean, I didn't know what happened, you know, because then, like, I messaged you on Facebook, and, you know, I didn't message you on Facebook for a while because, well, I guess just so everybody else knows what we're talking about. Christian is sending me some magazines, which apparently he's telling me they got returned to sender on them, which that sucks. But I didn't want to make it seem like I was being impatient or like, hey, where are my magazines? It was just more like at some point they hadn't showed up for a while, and I just wanted you to know that they didn't show up because maybe you were expecting, you know, maybe you sent them and then they disappeared into the ether. And, you know, mainly I just didn't want you thinking I was being a jerk and like I got the magazines and then never said thank you or something. And so that's the only reason I messaged you about it, was just like, you know, just FYI, I never got them. So if you sent them, you know, you might want to contact the post office. Yeah, so you got to put your arms up with the C button. But anyway, man, Christian, glad you're here. Teresa, what'd you get for your new computer? Well, so I already showed it, but nobody was here when I showed it. So I'm going to just grab the thing here. So I got, I didn't get anything fancy. This is well, here, I can turn it that way. It's just an HP Pavilion that I picked up at Costco. Costco has them on sale. And, you know, it's not any kind of like super beefy computer or anything, but just for doing streaming and capturing, it's fine. It was like $550, and it's got like the current 8th generation Core i5 in it, which is all right. It's not a Core i7, and it's got a discrete graphics card in it, and like 16 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte hard drive. So I mean, you know, you'd be hard pressed to build a computer yourself for that money with those specs, or if you did, you wouldn't really be saving any money. And you know, maybe you could have better parts or something. I don't really know, but I was just getting kind of impatient because I was using a really old computer to stream, and it was having a little bit of problems. And this one, I mean, you guys tell me, you're the ones watching the stream, but just looking at OBS, I haven't seen any kind of problems at all. So so yeah. And then I mean, I'd like to hear more about the arcade cabinet there, Christian, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's no problem. Like I said, I just want to make sure you knew I didn't get them. So it's, you know, I appreciate anything anybody wants to send me. So I just didn't want to make it seem like I was complaining. Zed wants to know if I watch MotoGP at all. I don't, but not because I don't want to. It's just they don't show it on TV here, so I'd have to like get a streaming thing or something. But MotoGP looks, you know, pretty awesome. Like, I don't, however crazy you think a Formula One driver is, a MotoGP, do you call them drivers or riders? That I think those are like the most insane people on the planet. So, Video Game Boutique says, if I ship you a console, would you review it on your channel? Like, I really appreciate that, but just to be honest, I probably wouldn't. Just because I kind of want to be the one that dictates what content I put up and when I put it up, and so I wouldn't want to. If I let somebody send me something that, you know, I'm going to review, then I have to make content based on what somebody else gave me, and I don't like doing that. Like I'm still working on the review for this Super SD System 3, just because you know, I haven't finished it, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like once somebody sends you something, there's sort of a certain amount of pressure, like that you have to get it done. And but I mean, I appreciate you asking for sure. So, and please don't feel bad about asking. I just that's why I don't. And yeah, Costco is dangerous there. At least he didn't buy a Mac. Well, I already own like 3 Macs, but Macintosh computers are awesome for video editing, but not awesome for streaming. And well, they're okay for capturing, but it seems like Elgato's work pretty well with Macs. That's pretty much how I've recorded my show now for a few years, is with an Elgato on my Mac. But then I have to use a FrameMeister because it outputs standard resolution, like 720p or 1080p. Like right now we're using an OSSC, which does not output standard resolution. And so Elgatos don't like it. And so I've got the StarTech here. I've also got an internal capture card that I want to mess around with, but I haven't put it into the system yet. So, and you know, also speaking of the Mac, for sure, you're not getting, you know, for $500 or $600, the only Mac you're getting is maybe a Mac Mini, which was actually my first Mac was a Mac Mini, and they're nice, but I mean, they're just, you know, very basic computers. Although I think, if I remember correctly, I want to say that when I very first I know for sure actually, when I first started working on this show, it was edited on that Mac Mini in iMovie, and then I bought a MacBook, and finally I got the Mac Pro that I use now. He says, great beer. I'm probably going to look for an old desktop this weekend. You know, that's the thing, is that's what I was doing for about 6 months, is I kept going to like the surplus store on the campus where I work, trying to find like just sort of a few years old computer to do this, you know, like like something with like a Core i5 or a Core i7 in it that was just a little bit older. And they never had one, but I was still going to end up paying like 100 or 200 bucks. So it's better just to pay the $5 and get a brand new computer and the warranty. And this computer should be good for several years. So, but if you don't have 500 bucks burning a hole in your pocket, believe me, I understand that. I was really, I have kind of a personal policy where I don't really want to spend my personal money on the show, just because the show makes at least enough money that it can afford stuff like this. And basically this computer was paid for by the sponsorship money that we got in the last magazine read through. So if it was, and I'm only mentioning that because I'm just saying if it was up to me to have to pay myself for a new computer out of my pocket, I probably wouldn't have bought one. So what's going on? You hate troubleshooting Mac Minis? Well, I definitely don't blame you. I mean, at least nice. The Mac Mini I had, you could still open the bottom, and you could upgrade the RAM. And I don't think you could change the hard drive. I could be wrong, but you know better than I do there, Teresa. But I think those systems are completely closed off now, and you can't do anything to them. So if I am remembering correctly, then I certainly understand why you wouldn't want to work on those. Teresa's reveling all the Apple love. I guess I don't know. I don't get that. I don't know because I don't know what. I don't know if you're being serious. I don't know if she's into Apple or not. I love Mac. I wouldn't have bought this computer if it wasn't for the fact that my Mac's not good for streaming. So. I don't hate Windows. I'm not like a Mac fanboy who hates Windows. Like this computer has Windows 10, which is great. I just, I made the switch over to Mac about 7 or 8 years ago, and I've just been happy and haven't felt the need to switch back, except that, a lot of this hardware I want to use for the show is just not really Mac compatible, or is technically Mac compatible but doesn't work very well. So. Oh, I see. That makes sense, Teresa. Well, I like your product, so there you go. Sorry, I think I'm missing some stuff, so I'm going to scroll up real quick. Derek asked, did you play any pinball in San Francisco when you guys met up with My Life in Gaming guys? No, we didn't. So we went to this place that, now I can't even remember the name of the place. So the place we went to in San Francisco, that's true, I haven't done an episode since we did that joint meetup thing. It was this place in San Francisco that used to be an old theater. Like it was in the middle of the city. And, it was not a theater anymore. And so they took the screen out and all the seats were gone. And it was turned into this multi-level arcade. And they had several of the Astro City. So that was pretty cool. And they had some pinball. But I think I only played 1 or 2 games while we were there. I mean, we were just kind of hanging out, and the people that came out to meet up with us, we were all just hanging around some tables, just talking and drinking beers, and they ordered some pizzas. But, I was kind of envisioning, I thought that we would all play games together, but we really didn't do that. I played one game, I think, while I was there. They had Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo in one of the Sega Astro Cities. And so I played one game of that, by myself. Somebody came over and tried to play with me. I don't think they knew, I don't like saying they didn't know who I was, because who am I? But I'm saying they just wanted to jump in on the second player. It had nothing to do with the fact that I have a show or whatever. But it wouldn't take his coins, and I felt really bad because he tried to put 2 or 3 tokens in there and it didn't take them. So I reached into my pocket and I gave him some change, just here, you shouldn't lose your money. So, but whatever. But yeah, we didn't really play any games, and it was kind of disappointing. But whatever. So Armand, is that Duarte or is it Duarte? Duarte. There's a really good restaurant in Pescadero over in the Bay Area called Duarte's. Really good cioppino. What's your opinion on the emulation lawsuits that are going on? How do you feel about the state of game preservation currently? Well, I just talked about that. Basically, if the long and short of it was just if the video game companies would provide a legitimate way for people to buy all these old games, I don't think they'd have the problem with piracy that they do. And all you have to do is look at the model for the digital distribution of music to see how much that's cut down on piracy. But the game industry, I guess, is not ready to do that. So yeah, I don't know what to tell them. Kevin's playing Madden 96 right now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Derek. Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely cool to meet and talk. That was the first time I'd ever met the My Life in Gaming guys in person. I've hung out with them on Skype and whatnot before, but that was the first time I ever saw them in person. So that it was pretty awesome. In a world where a lot of YouTubers are very, I don't want to say two-faced. I'll just say like they present one side of themselves, online, but maybe behind the scenes they're not so nice. Corey and Tri from My Life in Gaming are who you see on their show is who they really are. They're just like two really cool guys, and so I really enjoyed hanging out with them. I spent the night at the hotel, not in their room. I got my own room, and I had breakfast with Corey the next morning. And I really wish I lived closer to those guys so I could hang out with them more often. Rob says that hipster picture you tweeted a couple days ago was pretty funny. Is it a hipster or is it an old picture? I can't tell. It's a really good quality picture. And Arthur, glad to see you streaming. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. And Armand, I don't think it's gracious at all. Why would you guys come here and hang out if I didn't talk to you guys, right? And yeah, they seem like good dudes, but they seem like good dudes because they are good dudes. Is my point. They're really cool. Yeah. Oh, and then Christian says he hopes I do a Neo Geo AES video one day. I plan on it. I get a lot of requests for it. Well, I forgot I'm on offense. Like right now, like I said, I'm working on the launch of the Sega Dreamcast video because a lot of people have been asking about that, and I think it'll be a cool video. But I get a lot of requests from people who want me to do some kind of like launch of the Neo Geo, and what I'd probably end up actually doing is just like a history of the Neo Geo type video, where maybe we would just look more at its total lifespan, because I think trying to even come up with information about its launch might be tough. But maybe I could talk about just the development of it or something. I'm not really sure, but maybe talk about the AES and the MVS together. What are we doing here? Do that one. Nice. Derek says, so kind of fake presentation, nice person, but a total self-absorbed douche in real life. Well, I'm not saying that bad, but I'm just saying, like, we all have different sides to our personalities, I'm sure that I'm not always as nice of a guy as what you see online. That doesn't mean I'm being fake. It's just, human beings are complex people. But yes, I wouldn't put it the terms you put it, but like I have heard stories, as I'm sure some of you guys have, about how some of these YouTube people can be in real life. And obviously we all have our bad days, but I don't know. I'm not going to specifics. I don't like to get negative about other people, but I'm just saying it's nice when you meet somebody who, is just as nice as you thought they were going to be. So, Corey and I had conversations about, other people on YouTube, and, I think I have stronger opinions about that. He's a very affable guy who gets along with people, and, by his own admission, he keeps doing that. Just kind of wants to stay in his own lane and just do his own thing, which is what sometimes I wish I could do a little bit more instead of getting worked up about what other people are doing. Yeah, the Dreamcast video will be epic. I hope so. I kind of feel like there's a lot of... What are you doing? We playing football here or what? There we go. I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure to get that one right. And, with 18 launch games, some decisions really have to be made as far as what I'm going to cover and what is just going to maybe sort of get touched on without getting in-depth. I feel like I have to show all 18 games and at least, give them 30 seconds. But, I think that there's games like, Monaco Grand Prix or Flag to Flag or I can think of some other ones. That TNN racing game. You know, nobody wants to sit there and watch 5 minutes of me talking about the history of that TNN hardcore racing, but it did come out on launch day, so we also can't just completely ignore it. So yeah. Oh yeah, Nawaf says there's some great consoles that had not so good launch titles. Yeah, I mean, just look at the launch of the original PlayStation. I mean, I'm not saying the launch titles were terrible, but certainly nice. Certainly, the launch of that system was in no way an indicator of how popular that system would end up being. I mean, a lot of great games came out for that system, even in the first year. But, I do wish that I had gotten, hey, wake up, that I had gotten a PlayStation closer to launch. Sometime in '95, maybe. But I'm not sorry I didn't get one on launch day. I just, that console was $300 in 1995, which was a lot of money when minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. So, Destruction Derby, yeah. So I mean, I got my system in '97. So by that time, Destruction Derby was kind of a little bit of an older game. But wow. Didn't think that'd be a touchdown. It was kind of an older game, but I think it was a greatest hits title. It was one of the first greatest hits titles, I want to say. And I ended up picking up that game. I think I might have rented it first, and then I enjoyed it, and so I bought it. It's one of those games that probably, a lot of people would say hasn't aged well or whatever, but I still really enjoy playing it. So, all right. So the game's over. So I guess I'd kind of like to maybe wrap things up. Because at this point the stream's an hour and 45 minutes long. I hate to do that because now we got 71 people watching. But I don't know. If anybody has any requests, I could play something else just real quick. I have an EverDrive here. I just wasn't using it. Well, let's switch back to this one until if somebody chimes in and says they want me to play some. Otherwise, we could also just talk for a little bit. You spent $70 this year on hamster Neo Geo releases. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know what that means. Yeah. Well, I can't play something. Something Atari, like an Atari game on the Genesis. I could do that. I don't have an Atari hooked up here in front of me. Video Game Boutique says, "Do you have any MAME arcade games you can play?" Not here in front of me. We have to kind of limit things to Genesis games because that's what I've hooked up. I'd love to like stream the arcade machine sometime, but I'd have to make some kind of like output for that so that I could hook it up to an upscaler. So that might be kind of difficult. Snow Brothers. I've never played Snow Brothers before. I'll play it if you want. I don't know anything about it, so. It might be ugly. You remember playing the demo disc version of, I don't know. Maybe I played the demo. Maybe I played Destruction Derby on a demo disc. I really don't remember how I played the game. I just remember that I played the game and I liked it. And so then I ended up getting the greatest hits version of the game. I know I just talked about this in another episode somewhere, but I could have bought the game long box, and I didn't want to because I didn't want any long box games because they were too big. I don't know, man. I'm getting a lot of requests for NHL '94. So sorry, Blake. I don't know if I can play Snow Brothers. What do you guys think? I've played NHL '94 before on the show, so I hate to play it again. But how about now my curiosity is piqued. So I just want to at least load up Snow Brothers real quick and just check it out. And then we'll play some NHL '94. Like, let's just do both. Because he says that Snow Brothers is just a arcade style game. So let's just check it out real quick because now I'm curious. Well, where the hell is it? L? There's no M or N. Wait, is Snow Brothers not? I only have the normal NTSC games on here. So I don't. Am I blind? I don't see it. Because it should be like right here. So I guess we can't play Snow Brothers. I was down to check it out. I guess we can't play it. just because I don't have it on here, and I don't have any other flash carts here. So, oh, is it on the NES? No, he said, oh, it's a Japan only release. Well, listen, Blake, I'm gonna write it down, Snow Brothers, and we're gonna check it out on another live stream. How about that? Because I really love playing games in the live stream that I've never played before. I think that's pretty cool. So your game is noted. But no. There we go. Sorry. But everybody else wants NHL 94, and I love that game. So let's play some NHL 94. Yeah, I don't have. Some people are asking for Sega CD games. I don't have a Sega CD hooked up to this Genesis at the moment. We could definitely do a Sega CD live stream though in the future. That would be cool. And I didn't see who said it. I saw it kind of flying by. Somebody said Gunlord. I would love to do a live stream of Gunlord. Something's kind of going on with my CMVS where it doesn't really do well through a FrameMeister, but I could put it through the OSSC and see how that does. But, you know, worst case scenario, maybe I just need to work on it a little bit. That's very specific, Derek. You want Sabres versus Blackhawks. Oh, yeah, switch back to GameView. Thank you, Mike. See, I would have forgotten. Let's do like two teams that don't exist anymore against each other. Like, let's do the Nordiques versus the Whale. How about that? And I don't like manual control goalie, so we're not doing that. Sorry. Cool. I think the last time I played NHL 94, I was playing it with you guys. So, probably not going to be super good. Not that I'm ever really super good at this game. I wasn't even really sure which team we were going to end up being, but I guess we're the Nordiques, huh? Oh, I thought that would go in. Is the sound still okay? Someone tell me if the sound is too low. Whoops. Uh-oh. Oh, that was foolish. Oh, no! I have a bad habit of when you know my goalie has the puck, I never want to just freeze the puck. I don't know why. I have an obsession with passing it. Is anybody gonna? He's trying to pass the other guy for a one-timer. Wake up. Uh-oh. Oh, no. You know, it's like you saw it happening, and then it happened. Is that Pat Verbeek? So I feel like when I play this game, I go quiet too, so that's not... Are you kidding me? Man. Rusty. And I kind of suck too, let's be honest. Who was Hartford's captain? Well, Shanahan was the captain. I don't think he was yet by 94, was he? When did Shanahan come to the... Shanahan got traded to the Red Wings before the 97 season. He was captain of the Whalers when he got traded. But I don't actually know how long he was a whaler for. There we go. I was in trouble. I'm gonna sit on it. Verbeek was the Whalers captain. Oh, there you go. Hey, Vinny, what's up, man? Does this game have manual line changing? I forgot. Like, did I just forget to turn it off? Usually I like having the different lines. Dang it. Oh. Stupid pad for beat. Well, hey, Echo, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, I thought I had it. There you go. I was trying to one-time it there. Dang it. Well, at least we don't have penalties turn on, because that would have been a penalty for sure. What are you doing? Oh. Oh. I still coughed it up. I'm just going to sit on it. What do we got here? Yeah, the Echo, thank you again. I appreciate that. Hit the Ice arcade game's awesome. Yeah, it is, for sure. Hell, half no fury like a woman scorned for Sega. I haven't watched Mallrats in a really long time. Ninja Master says, seeing that VCR made me surprised to see that old VCRs are going up in price now. Is that true? I didn't even know that. I run across old VCRs at the surplus store all the time, but I don't have time to sell VCRs to people. But hey, video game critique. No, I have a Sega CD. I just don't have it hooked up to this Sega Genesis. So it's upstairs on a different Sega Genesis. So I do have a Sega CD that I could use to stream sometime. That'd be pretty cool. And I actually Your PS2 comes with a complete Sega CD collection. You can play Sega CD games on the PS2. I have a modded PS2, but like I bought a chip PS2, but like I don't know how to use it, and I don't really have time to learn. But I kind of bought it just figuring at some point I'm going to do the launch of the PS2, and that way I don't have to chase down all of the launch games. So yeah, how far away are we from vintage rental stores coming back? You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know if could you rent like old video games to people? I feel like they would just steal them. Oh, I thought that was going to go in for sure. I mean, obviously you have their credit card information, but I don't know. I don't know how well that would work. You know, like how many people would still want to go down to the rental store? I don't. Who is this guy? Maybe they would, and I just don't know. But I mean, that would be like a super like niche market, but it would be cool. I mean, like I don't even rent like stuff from Redbox anymore, you know, and like how convenient is that? Ooh, I got lucky. You know, I used Redbox for, you know, a couple of years or something to rent, you know, to rent movies or to rent video games. But you know, at this point, you know, I don't play modern games, and if I want to rent a movie, I'm just going to stream it on Amazon. So, you know, as sad as I am that, you know, video rental stores are gone, like I don't. If somebody tried to bring one back, I don't think it would go well, you know, unless it was, you know, I know, isn't there something called like family video or something that I think is only popular in like maybe, you know, more rural areas that are underserved by broadband or have a lot of old people who aren't tech savvy, maybe. You know, maybe in like Florida where there's lots of like old people, maybe you could have a rental store take off that still rented DVDs or VHS tapes. I don't really know. Goodness gracious. Derek says he has a few family video where he is. Do they rent games or is it just videos? And like, do they rent like Blu-rays or is it just DVDs? Like, I'm just kind of trying to figure out what the market is as far as people who go to family video. There we go. Finally. All right. Hold on, 'cause I missed a bunch of stuff. We got a record player this correct. Yeah, I got a record player. I don't know, you know, those of you who made it that far into the TurboGrafx 16 video, I showed one of my record players in there. I have a couple record players. Yeah, Nintendo probably would shut you down if you tried to open up a rental store renting Nintendo games. I wouldn't be at all surprised. Arthur says, why did you unpause it? Oh, I don't understand what you mean. Like, I'm playing the game. I don't understand what's going on. I've encountered elderly customers where it takes 45 minutes to find the home button on their iPad. I mean, I don't know. I'm not surprised, but, you know, I mean, like my mom is like pushing 70, you know, and she's pretty tech savvy. I mean, she has like an iPad, and like she even built her own computer one time. But you know, I know that she's sort of the exception. You know, like my stepdad, for instance, he's a little bit older than she is, but he can barely use like a telephone that has more than just standard buttons on it. You know, just because I don't know, he's not into that kind of stuff either. So, like, I think my mom thinks that kind of stuff is like cool. So. Not phones, I mean, but just technology in general. So, yeah, that's true, Jet. Libraries do rent out a lot of stuff. You know, I live in kind of a small town, so the library has pretty limited hours here. But I mean, they have like a lot of CDs in there and DVDs. I know some libraries, from what I've heard, rent or lend rather video games, but my local library does not. Trying to get off like a good one-timer, you know? Whoops. Some libraries lend tools even. That'd be cool, and it also kind of makes sense because you can imagine that maybe a lot of people, you know, if you don't have access to a good set of tools, you could end up costing yourself more money in repair costs for something. So that's cool to hear that some libraries would lend such a thing. There's still a large segment of Generation X that's technology ignorant. They could have graduated college without touching a computer. I mean, it depends, you know. I mean, I consider myself Generation X, but kind of barely. You know, I mean, I don't. Different people have different opinions about when the generation started and stuff. But you know, I was born in '77, so that's still Generation X by most people's definition. But oh crap! But Verbeek again. But to be sure, you know, if you were, you know, an early Gen Xer, you know, you could definitely, I would say, graduate college without having to touch a computer. You know, like when I was in high school, I had a computer, and so like I would type out my term papers or whatever, but you know, it wasn't required. You know, like I remember when, you know, like I'm the right age that I remember when like schools would like start requiring you to submit your work typed, whereas before that you didn't, because of course most of us, if you had the option, you didn't want to submit your work typed because, like, you know, 2 pages typed was going to be a lot more words than 2 pages handwritten. Name the first hockey game ever made. Well, I would think that, you know, if you think about, you know, some of the games like that came out on like the Pong type systems that would be called, that were called hockey games, and I guess those would count. But the first proper hockey game, I'm really not sure. So, hey Olga, I'm streaming, but I'm just gonna finish up. No, but we got 78 people hanging out. So, well, I've been at it for like 2 hours, so I'm getting kind of tired. All right, so as you guys can hear, my wife's home, so we'll finish up the period here, but then after that, you know, I'd like to go spend time with my wife, so so I'm gonna do that. But your first laptop was an Etch-a-Sketch. I don't think I ever actually personally had an Etch-a-Sketch. Like I had friends that had Etch-a-Sketches, but I don't think I ever had one. You know what I used to have is like, you know, you get at the drugstore or whatever, the supermarket. I don't know what they're even called. They kind of looked like pads, and they had the cellophane that you kind of lift up and you could write on them, but then to erase it, you would just lift up the top layer. But I can't remember what those were called. You know, I would love to get one more goal, but it seems unlikely. Maybe I'll settle for the Whalers not getting one more goal. Ooh, almost. Not really. All right, that was close. All right, well, we were able to finish the game, so that's cool. We lost 5-1. That is not cool. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up because we're now over the 2-hour mark. But that was a lot of fun. I'm glad I was able to start streaming again, and that the whole system here works. I'm just going to scroll up one last time and read the comments, make sure I didn't miss anything important here. Ninja says, yeah, the ones that are 50 plus. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. Like if you graduated, I mean, really, if you're even just 5 years older than me, you would have graduated from college in the mid-90s, and it's definitely possible to get through college without touching a computer at that time. So your first laptop was a Mac PowerBook. Well, that's pretty good. You must be rich. I don't know about that, but they were certainly expensive back then. My first computer was a PC clone. So, yeah. Thanks, Arthur. Yeah. So looks like I'm all caught up here. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight to everybody. But thank you very much to everybody who came in and hung out, and thank you for the contributions I got from some people. That helps fuel the show, so I really appreciate it. And I will make sure to stream again very soon. It won't be so many months from now. That was the whole point of setting all this stuff up. So, you know, I don't want to say tomorrow, but hey, maybe tomorrow, who knows? So anyway, have a good night. And again, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys again soon.